Hi there, I'm Phil. And as I record this, David Lynch passed away 2 days ago. So I thought I'd dedicate one of these videos to one of his most essential movies, Eraserhead. Eraserhead was released in 1977, though production began in 1971. It took 5 years to make. There was about 2 years worth of pre-production, 2 years of shooting, and a year in post, essentially. This was David Lynch's first feature film, and was made under the auspices of the American Film Institute, AFI, at their Greystone mansion in LA. So technically he was a film student when he began this film.
I call them the stables. There were maids' quarters, there was a huge hayloft, and there was a place where they stored firewood, which was, kind of enormous too. And no one ever went down there, so I just sort of started, doing some things down there. And it was like a mini soundstage. And then I got all this equipment from AFI. It was like heaven.
And in fact, very few people got paid anything for the entire 5 years of this, including Jack Nance, who plays Henry Spencer, the lead character, Eraserhead. Jack Nance even kept the hairdo for 5 years straight, which became socially awkward at times in the early 1970s. No one, of course, realised it was going to take 5 years to make, but they were so invested in the project, everyone stuck to it.
And we would work at night. So people would start showing up at about 4:35 in the afternoon, and eventually we would have some dinner and start going to work. But unfortunately, the pace was quite slow.
And aside from the change of cinematographer due to unfortunate circumstances, everyone stayed there for the duration. Even the AFI kind of forgot that they were out the back making this film. They were there for so long. This is a great example of many things. First, a student project and how they can take forever to finish. Any film can take a very long time to finish sometimes. So it's a great example of persistence and tenacity to get the damn thing finished. It's a great example, if you look behind the scenes, of the collaboration and how to build an atmosphere on set that will last the distance.
I remember being there really long hours and really having fun figuring stuff out. You were always in charge. You always knew exactly what you wanted, but you had each of us feeling like we were really part of it, which I think we were. But it was really helping you with this vision.
Eraserhead is what we call an oniric film, which means it feels like a dream or a nightmare. In fact, all of David Lynch's films are oniric to a greater or lesser extent.
Do I just cut them up like regular chickens?
Sure, just cut them up like regular chickens.
And it is creepy, it's disturbing and weird, and it is as Mel Brooks once put it, it's like a teenager's nightmare about responsibility and parenthood. And it's because of this film, ultimately, that Mel Brooks saw it and hired David Lynch to direct The Elephant Man. In fact, this film is kind of like the Velvet Underground of movies in many ways. Not many people had seen it, but everyone who had was greatly impressed and inspired by it, including people like Stanley Kubrick.
Several people that were working with George Lucas, and Kubrick invited him up to his house that night, and he said, "I want to show you my favorite film." And he showed him Eraserhead.
The film didn't get a wide release when it came out. It was just too weird, but it ended up becoming a big hit at midnight screenings, along with films like John Waters' Pink Flamingos.
In those days, no one thought too much of Eraserhead. It was midnight films that put it on the map.
It certainly established David Lynch as a unique and original filmmaker. It's an exercise in how you can make a no-budget film, pretty much, that still makes an impact. And it's a great example of the one thing you need to do as a new filmmaker. Yes, make a good film, make an interesting film, but more than anything, make a film that gets noticed. Make a film that no one else has quite done before. Make a film that shows your style. And he has said this is a very personal film. It draws from his own experience as a young adult in Philadelphia.
And this is the world of Eraserhead, where you can be in a room and feel the exterior and know what it is like just from a mood. And that's the way it was in Philadelphia as well.
If you've never seen a David Lynch film before, or you've only seen his later work perhaps, be prepared for something very unusual and very confronting. And despite the fact that this is very low budget and took a very long time to make, there's a very famous example of where Jack Nance is walking down a hallway, opens the door, and when we cut to inside the room, that shot was taken 18 months later. So the film is very well organised, it's very well lit, and also pay attention to the sound design. The sound design in this film really makes it, done by David Lynch himself and Alan Splett, who was also the location sound recordist. And the other thing to notice here is, despite the fact that it's really weird and you don't quite know what's going on, every shot is very intentional. There's a fine line between mystery and confusion. This is a very mysterious film, and even if you don't understand it by the end, and most people don't, everyone disagrees about what the film's really about. Nevertheless, you've been taken on a ride, and it's clear the filmmaker knew what they were doing. Every shot, every moment is very intentional. It is not a confusing film. It is, however, perhaps a mystery you may not be able to solve. And it's still grounded in character and relationships, and it can be at times quite funny.
It's Henry, isn't it?
Yes.
So in that sense, it's a very traditional film, structurally. But what happens inside that is very unusual. So check out David Lynch's Eraserhead. It is one of those films that you have to see at some point, preferably early in your life. You will either love it or hate it. If you love it, it will become a major influence on what you do potentially. And the other David Lynch films in particular to check out after this would be Blue Velvet, the TV series Twin Peaks, and then Mulholland Drive. They all have this oniric, dreamlike quality to them. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you know what to do. If you'd like to learn more about filmmaking, check out my book linked below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.